All right, looks like we're live and the floor is yours.
Thank you. Welcome, everybody, to the July 6th Zoning Board of Appeals meeting. I always like to start out with a pledge of allegiance, so if we would stand and
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
thank you. So with that, I'd like to just mention quickly the exits. There's a couple exits on the other side of the atrium here. Likewise, likely where you came in towards the parking lot. I also would ask that everybody have their cell phones at very least muted while we do this meeting. Follow that up with the roll call real quick. So Bob Peckham, present. Beth Mossworth.
Here.
John Miglerini. Here. Christian Chamberlain.
here,
Heather Robinson.
Here,
Timothy Harrington.
present,
Aaron Lehman.
present.
So the roll is taken care of. I'd like to ask to have a motion to accept last month's minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve last meeting's minutes.
Second.
Seconded by John. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much, Beth. And with that, we'll start the meeting. Quick explanation of what we do today for everybody here. We're going to listen. We're going to ask a lot of questions about your applications. When we call you up, we'll have you come up to the podium, state your name and address clearly so that we have it on the record. We're going to ask you questions. Some of them may seem silly, but they have meaning to us. After that, we will take a vote of the 7 members. If you're approved, 5 of us will have to, 4 of us will have to approve that. As long as we have more than 4, it's approved. And if not, then we would decline it. Once your application is accepted, there's still a process that happens. You go through the building department and do some other things. If there's any questions, we can start to answer those today. But in general, you would go back to the place where you started the process to continue on from there. If it is approved, also, you'll receive notification in the mail reasonably shortly. One of the ladies who's on the virtual side here with us, she gets this stuff done pretty quick, so you'll have it out there pretty fast. So if there's any questions, feel free to ask us. I will start out with application 2022-034 for Rock River Apartments at 3948 East River Road. Welcome.
My name is Ben Harrell with CHA Consulting here on behalf of the applicant, Aptitude Rochester LLC. My address for the company is 300 South State Street, Suite 600, Syracuse, New York. The zip code's 13202.
Thank you very much, Ben.
So you're here for a second monument sign for the second entrance. Is it for the entrance on top of the hill or further down towards
It would
the
be
lodge?
for the southern entrance.
The southern entrance. Okay,
Well,
so
yes.
I didn't know if there was is you need an extra one for each entrance. Is the sign going to be lit up at all? I didn't notice if it was going to be lit.
No, if there's any lighting, it would be ground mounted, projected towards it
If
per the
okay,
code.
to ground mounted if there's okay. And one second.
Can I ask one?
Go ahead. If you have questions.
I would like to know how far this is from the road. Because I don't see a measurement, and it could just be me not noticing it, but
It is as close as possible while staying outside of the Monroe County Water Authority easement.
okay.
So it would be 15 feet off of the right of way line. I don't know necessarily the asphalt because it is getting widened. So it varies per sign.
Okay. That helps me. Thank you very much.
So it was moved back about 2.5 feet from what I'm understanding here.
Yes.
Okay. And you mentioned the road could be widened. I know that road, East River Road has got a lot of, they're eventually going to widen it to 4 lanes. I'm not quite sure what the county plans to do with the road eventually, but is the sign far enough back so that in case they do widen the road, it's still
Yeah,
within, so it won't have to be moved even further back
no,
to comply? Okay, so
that
it's,
won't.
okay.
Any other questions from board members? Other? Christian, do you have any more?
I don't have any others really, no. It's just, it looks like it's,
I mean, it feels like it's needed because of this
Yeah.
location. And as long as it's not blocking the view, I'm comfortable with it. So with that, why don't we close this application?
okay.
Bob, are there any residents who want to speak?
Oh, you asked a good question. Thank you.
None online.
Maybe it was too long of a weekend or something. I'm sort of hesitant. Are there any questions from members of the audience, whether in person or virtual?
None online.
All right. Thank you for the reminder. Okay, now we can close this application.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, with regard to application number ZBA 2022-034 for an area variance, I move to approve as follows. Whereas the zoning board has 1, duly advertised and held a public hearing, 2, has considered all relevant information, and 3, has considered the potential benefit to the applicant versus the potential detriment to the neighborhood or community in relation to such variance. Now therefore be it resolved that the zoning board of appeals makes the following findings of fact. The variance will not result in an undesirable change to the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties, as there are other developments in the vicinity with signage similar to what is being requested. The variance cannot be achieved by some other feasible alternative due to the size and scale of the project. 2 entrances are required, meaning a monument sign is needed to properly identify each entrance. The variance requested is not substantial, as the signs are within the size allowable. The variance will not have a negative effect on physical or environmental conditions. The signs will provide the minimal relief necessary to adequately provide identification and wayfinding for the development. And the difficulty relating to the variance was self-created as the applicant desires signage for both entrances to the development. And be it further resolved that based upon the above findings, the zoning board of appeals hereby approves the variance as presented.
I'll second that. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? I'm sorry, Heather. All opposed? The motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we're going to have application 2022-035 at 31 Coachwood Lane.
My name is Sanjay Murwaha. I'm the owner of 31 Coachwood Lane, Rochester, New York, 14623. I'm looking to get a variance. The steps currently at our house are crumbling. We'd like to replace that with a platform and steps going down. And that's the reason why we're requesting the variance.
Okay. Now you're looking to do like an 8 by 10 front porch onto the house. Is that going to be over the existing concrete?
It'll be over the existing concrete.
Okay. Now is the 8 by 10, is that going to be like feasible in size for you guys?
Yeah, it'll fit in perfectly, and then it kind of fits right into the current sidewalk that we have there as well.
Okay. What is the front porch going to be made out of?
Wood.
Wood? Okay. Will it be painted or stained?
Abe, is it stained?
It will be, you have to wait a year, but it will be in a year.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you foresee the need to ever place a ramp to the deck?
That's not the plan. The plan is just to have the steps. But I don't foresee it, but you never know in the future if, when we get older and things like that, but no, that's not what I'm thinking.
Any other questions? Heather, you good?
Mm-hmm.
Are there any questions from members of the audience, virtual or in person?
I have no one online, Bob.
Thank you. With that, we can close this application. Heather?
Mr. Chairman, with regard to application number ZBA 2022-035 for area variance, I move to approve as follows. Whereas the zoning board has duly advertised and held a public hearing, has considered all relevant information, and has considered the potential benefits to the applicant versus the potential detriment to the neighborhood or community in relation to such variance. It now, therefore, be it resolved, the zoning board of appeals makes the following findings of fact. The variance will not result in an undesirable change to the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties. Adding a front porch to the front of the house will add curb appeal to the home. The variance cannot be achieved by some other feasible alternative, as the house was built within the 50-foot setback, so a variance will be needed for any deck and size, and the size the applicant is requesting is reasonable. The variance requested is substantial. However, there is no feasible alternative due to location of the house. The variance will not have a negative effect on physical or environmental conditions, as where the proposed location of the deck is over an existing concrete slab. The difficulty relating to the variance was not self-created, as the house was built in the front setback and the applicant is looking to add a porch for deteriorating steps. And be it further resolved that based upon the above findings, the zoning board of appeal hereby approve the variances as presented.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Christian. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Again, the motion carries. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay. Application 2022-036, 037, 038, and 039, which is 4799 West Henrietta Road.
Hi, I'm Stephen Lafon. I'm here on behalf of 4799 West Henrietta Road.
Steve, this is Tim Harrington. We spoke earlier today. I have shared with the board our findings of fact. Do you want to summarize for the board, if you would, what the objective here is with these changes that result in 4 zoning variance requests?
Yes, we're looking to put our complete sign package on our building. It's a major part of our branding and customer appeal to get them into our parking lot. And I guess that's pretty much the short of it. We're not asking for anything more than the neighboring customers have, the other QSRs. We are limiting our sign to the customer's eye towards the road and the parking lot.
Could you say again what QSR is?
Quick serve restaurant.
Thank you. Quick serve restaurant.
Steve, illumination of the sign, have you defined what that will be? Hours of illumination?
Hours of operation, they'd be on.
Yes.
I don't know the exact time of our operations right now, but I can tell you that the competitors are open till 1 and 11. It would be based on our volume. I would imagine we would be open till at least 1 to start and go from there based on the volume of customers.
Now, one of the things that we were looking at, there's an entrance off of Lehigh behind the Wendy's. Will you be having a sign there?
Not at the moment. We are on a land lease, and that is part of a future development. It's an access road, and our electrical footprint stays within our curb line. Not saying down the road that we wouldn't want to be part of a monument sign that goes there, but we have nothing going there at the moment.
Okay.
I don't think this relates to the application necessarily, but just out of curiosity, why the need for changeable letters? What kind of messaging will go on that second pole sign?
We change them with the specials, and we put community statements on there. We change them often, simple as Happy 4th of July to 2 for $6 Whoppers. we haven't had too much luck with electronic reader boards. So
I prefer these, so that's good. Any other questions from the board?
I have none.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from members of the audience? This is a quiet group tonight. Wonderful. Oh, there is one?
No, virtual.
Oh, I thought anybody virtually, Heather?
Still no one online. I'll let you know if someone pops in.
Perfect. So with that, we will close these applications.
And Mr. Chairman, with regard to applications number ZBA 2022-36, 37, 38, and 39 for an area variance, I move to approve as follows. Whereas the zoning board has, 1, duly advertised and held a public hearing. 2, has considered all relevant information. 3, has considered the potential benefit to the applicant versus the potential detriment to the neighborhood or community in relation to such variances. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the zoning board of appeals makes the following finding of fact. The variance will not result in an undesirable change to the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties. Neighboring establishments have like signage, for example, McDonald's across the street. 2, the variances can be achieved by some other feasible alternative, but the signs chosen are tasteful and well-designed. 3, the variance, plural, the variances requested is substantial. These requests are substantial in quantity and size of signs, but because they're spread across the facility, the desired changes appear reasonable when considered as a complete package. 4, the variance will not have a negative effect on the physical or environmental conditions. 5, the difficulty relating to the variance was self-created, but the solution designed to increase awareness of this business will be accomplished with a style consistent with the area. And be it further resolved that based on the above findings, the zoning board of appeals hereby approves the variance as presented.
Second.
Seconded by John. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you.
thank you.
Good evening.
Have a good day.
You too.
Sorry. Next, 2022-040, 110 Cattaraugus Drive.
Hi there, can y'all hear me?
We can.
Yes.
My name's Taylor Ziccarelli. I'm the owner of 110 Cattaraugus Drive, Rochester, New York, 14623. And I'm requesting a variance for a 6-foot tall fence in the front yard of a corner lot, whereas 3 feet tall is allowed in the front yard under Henrietta Town Code.
Welcome.
Thank you.
I sent an email this morning, just letting you know that, we had gone over the application. I drove by, looked at the property today, and I did look through some emails about residents initially having concern about the fence being too close to the front yard, but that is not the case. It is the existing fence, correct?
So there was a pre-existing structure. I was informed that there wasn't a permit for it, but it was essentially along the same dimensions along that east side that's facing Parker House Road.
Okay. So wait, just for clarity, you're not changing what's there. It's for the fence that is in place.
It was rebuilt with additional fence in the backyard and on the west side of the yard as well.
So you will not be building anything new.
Nothing additional at this time.
Thank you.
Do you perceive the need or in the future to ever expand that fenced in area?
Not in the foreseeable future.
Okay. Good. Do you foresee the need to have additional gates or entrances or exits out of that fenced in area?
No, I had put a gate in on the south side. That's what I would consider facing the front towards Cattaraugus. And then there's a double gate on the west side.
Got it. And just for clarity, are you off of the power line right away or are you on that?
I believe it's within. I called 811 before you dig, and they had cleared the dimensions I had given them for the fence.
Okay. With that, are there any more questions from the board? Are there any questions from members of the audience? Okay. So with that, I would like to close the application.
Mr. Chairman, with regard to application number ZBA 2022-040 for an area variance, I move to approve as follows. Whereas the zoning board has duly advertised and held a public hearing, has considered all relevant information, and has considered the potential benefit to the applicant versus the potential detriment to the neighborhood or community in relation to such variance. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the zoning board of appeals makes the following findings of fact. The variance will not result in an undesirable change to the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties. The fence material and style is typical of residential property and fits within the character of the neighborhood. The variance cannot be achieved by some other feasible alternative. Property location and being a corner lot prohibits creating a private backyard area without a tall fence to block sightlines from Cattaraugus Drive and Parker House Road. The variance requested is substantial. While substantial, the location of the fence on the property defines a backyard area in a manner otherwise not defined and appropriate to the property. The variance will not have a negative effect on physical or environmental conditions. No negative physical or environmental impacts are foreseen at this time. The difficulty relating to the variance was not self-created. The property is a corner lot and its location has created the difficulty of a private yard area. And be it further resolved that based on the findings of the zoning board of appeals hereby approve the variance as presented. And be it further resolved that this approval shall be subject to the following conditions. The fence is limited to the location as shown on the attached drawing included in the application.
I'll second.
Seconded by Heather. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Good evening.
All right, next one, application 2022-042 for 50 Strawberry Hill Road. Anybody here? Heather, are they on with the Zoom?
They are not, and I had difficulty getting in touch with them as well. So I have not heard back on whether they were supposed to come in person or Zoom.
Okay, so we will postpone that till the end. Give them another chance. So with that, we'll jump to 2022-044, which is 50 Belden Drive. Welcome.
You mean the Station Road?
Oh, did I say the wrong address?
Well, no, you said the wrong application.
Let me say it again just for clarity, and I'm sorry if I made you stand up.
No, it's okay.
2022-044, 50 Belden Drive.
That's us.
Oh, I repeated mine. Sorry about that. Listen, sometimes
Number 43, Bob.
maybe some more than others. Please state your name and address.
Sure. My name is Megan Dahlman and our address is 50 Belden Drive, Rochester, New York, 14623.
Welcome.
Thanks.
So you want to put a fence around the backside of your house there?
So we already currently have, like, if you look at our house on the left-hand side, there's a very small fenced in backyard that has like, it comes around to the other side, but stops. It doesn't come around and curve around that side. So we just want to extend it, have a little bit of a bigger backyard space.
Okay.
Because we are also a corner lot.
Yes.
A lot of fun.
Yes.
And the fence that you're going to put in here, is that going to be pressure treated?
Yes.
It is going to be pressure treated? Okay.
Have you thought about using trees instead of fence? There's no code about how many trees you can put up, and there's some trees there. And you considered
So
adding
the
trees?
trees that are, the 2 trees that are left at the side are healthy. The other trees had to be removed because they are ash.
And then we do not want to add more trees to the property line.
And we have dogs too, so we would like, you know, a bigger yard for them as well. So if we did trees or
That's their bathroom
bushes, they'd
area.
get right through and then,
Mhm.
you know, then we're searching Henrietta for our pups.
They can come over here. Makes sense. Any other questions? Members of the board? Just wait for Heather.
I have done.
Okay. Any questions or concerns from members of the audience? Okay, with that, we can close this application.
Mr. Chairman, with regards to application ZBA 2022-00 or 0, Jesus, I'm doing the same thing.
Same thing as me.
044, for an area variance, I move to approve as follows. Whereas the zoning board of appeals has duly advertised and held a public hearing, has considered all relevant information and has considered the potential benefits to the applicant versus the potential detriment to the neighborhood or community in relation to such a variance. Now therefore be it resolved that the zoning board of appeals makes the following findings of facts. The variance will not result in an undesirable change to the neighborhood or characteristic of the neighborhood. Basically, they're going to extend the existing fence that's there to make their backyard bigger. The variance can be achieved by other feasible alternatives, but as they're on a corner lot, it's just a good fit for that. The variance requested is not substantial. The variance will not have a negative effect on the physical or environmental conditions. They'll extend their backyard for their animals. The difficulty related to the variance was self-created. And be it further resolved that based upon the above findings, the zoning board of appeals hereby approves the variance as presented.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Mr. Harrington. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Have a nice day.
You too.
So I made a mistake. I skipped one, so I apologize. 2022-043, which is 1483 Lehigh Station Road. Is anybody here?
Hello.
Hello, we hear you now.
There we go.
How are you today?
Good. How y'all doing?
Good. Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Chad Willardson. I live at 230 Mulberry Drive in Farmington. I'm here to represent Nikki Truly from Marshall Exteriors.
Thank you for your time.
So the application is to put a roof over a concrete pad, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Is that concrete pad already existing?
Ma'am.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. This is-
Yeah.
And this is just a roof line that's not enclosed or just the roof?
It'll be a shed roof style. The posts will have AZAC wraps on them. The soffit fascia will be done to match the house. The roof inside, the ceiling inside the roof will have a beadboard, vinyl beadboard on it. It'll look like a brewery there, not like a shed roof for firewood or something.
But otherwise open to the elements?
Yes, ma'am.
Can I ask what the purpose of the porches?
They're looking, the homeowners contacted us looking for a place to get out of the sun on their patio.
Okay. Now, are the drawings that were submitted with the application, are those like final drawings? I know that they look like sketches.
They're rough drawings just for framing purposes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Any questions from the board members?
Is there any electricity being run out to the, like, for like overhead lighting or anything like that for that? For the,
I do believe there are going to be 4 small can lights inside that ceiling.
There will be some, okay, but there will be electricity out to that, okay.
No. Any other questions from members of the audience or Zoom? Okay, with that, we can,
Bob,
yes,
Chad, how do you spell your last name for the record?
WILLARDSON.
Thank you very much.
with that, I would like to close this application.
Mr. Chairman, in regards to application ZBA 2022-043 for an area variance, I move to approve as follows. Whereas the zoning board has one, duly advertised and held a public hearing, has considered all relevant information, and three, has considered the potential benefit to the applicant versus the potential detriment to the neighborhood or community in relation to such variances. Now, therefore, it be resolved that the zoning board of appeals makes the following findings of fact. The variance will not result in an undesirable change to the character of the neighborhood or detriment to nearby properties. The property is unique to the location of the neighboring home and the small setback. The variance cannot be achieved by some other means feasible. Using current concrete patio layout for enclosed porch is best option. The variance is not substantial as the concrete pad is existing. The variance will not have a negative effect on the physical or environmental conditions. There is already a non-permeable surface now, and the structure of the roof does not infringe on a neighbor's sightline. The difficulty relating to the variance was self-created, and be it further resolved that based upon the above findings, the zoning board of appeals hereby approve the variance as presented.
I'll second it.
Seconded by Christian. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed?
Opposed?
The motion carries. Harrington is opposed.
Nope. 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 Aaron.
I apologize. Aaron is opposed. The motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sorry about that, guys. Potentially last one, 2022-045 and 046 for 245 River Meadows Drive. Welcome. Please state your name and address for the record, sir.
Evening, board. My engineer may be on the line as well. I'm not sure if he is or not, but my name is Jeremy Bates with Buffalo Modular Homes. I'm the builder for the homeowner at 245 River Meadow Road.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Christian, you want to start?
Yes. So I went over to the property and I took a look at what was going on there. So basically the two things you want to have a garage that is 44 feet deep where 30 is allowed due to the house only having a crawl space. It's not a full finished basement.
Yeah, correct. That's right.
Okay, all right. And what,
we took it out of the floodplain there.
right,
And so, the homeowner was, she was really disappointed not to be able to really use her basement at all. Even normally with a standard crawl space, we're going to typically see 4 feet of headroom.
Mhm.
But that exterior perimeter wall is about at least 6 feet around the perimeter. The inside of which is designed to fill back 3 feet. So you're really less than 3 feet from top of flatwork to bottom of floor joist. So it's completely unusable. I mean, maybe storage a little bit in bins, but most people use their basements for, really storage at minimum.
right.
And so we were hoping to, I think the size of the garage we're seeking is very, very close to the actual allowed size of the garage. The difference is that we're extending it back rather than to the side because of the width restriction on the lot.
Right,
So-
normally for like a 30 by 35 garage, it would be, like, what is it, 1,050 feet? I believe is what,
Yeah,
you're slightly over that
right,
with,
yeah, exactly. And
you're
we're
slightly
10
over
we're
with the-
1085, so we're 35 square feet more.
right, so it's not, it's just basically it's deeper, not as wide due to
Yeah.
due to the elevation and also the
Only
width of the lot.
25 feet wide, so you really don't see, if anything, it looks like a smaller garage from the street, but it
Mhm.
is a little deeper. Yep.
Okay, all right. And pertaining to the turnaround too, now the entire driveway is not going to be the same width. It's basically just 19 feet, you said, at the garage. Then there's the turnaround.
Yep.
And then it's going to be only 12 feet from the turnaround to the road.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah, exactly. It's a bit of a windy, driveway. I'm not sure if everyone's seen it, but it's essentially set back, behind this other house. And so, to safely come out on River Meadow, it would be nice to turn around and drive out head first rather than sort of, backing down the driveway.
Okay.
Any other, was there other questions here?
Let me think about it, but if you have, anyone else has
Is there
questions?
any
they can
other
ask.
questions here?
I have a couple. So has there been any feedback from the neighbor in front of you or of the house that's being built regarding the driveway?
They're gonna be,
width?
Heather, they're gonna be talking.
They're in the audience, Heather.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you. Can't see the audience so much. Okay. So now I know that the house, so I'll move on to the next one. So I know the house is already built. So you're looking to build the garage next, is that the plan?
So we have an approved building permit, which includes an attached garage, a front porch, and a rear porch. But we put the garage build, we pressed pause on that until we could get a clarification or an approval for this variance meeting that we're at here tonight, so that we could go back a few feet further. But yeah, the house currently, as it sits, it's sitting on a basement, and the structure of the house is erected with no front porch or back porch or attached garage. But the driveway is in, the house structure is up, the body of the house, and the foundation underneath it.
Okay, now we only see in plan here, is the garage gonna be like 2 stories?
The garage is going to be, the house is a 2-story garage, or the house is 2 stories, similar to the house to the right of it. If you're on the road, to the right of it. So they're similar 2-story homes. And the garage will be similar in height to kind of match the house itself. Yeah. Right now, if you're looking at the house looks like it's sort of sitting out of grade quite a bit, which, that was designed based on the engineer's requirement for the floodplain level. That top of wall was dictated by the engineer. But
Yeah, I saw that.
Right, but the idea is that front porch and after we, backfill and have a garage next to it, all of those elevations will come a little closer to grade after the backfill as well. So it'll soften the visual appearance of the house being so far out of grade. I mean, that's not a goal to leave it looking quite so out of place like that.
Because it looks much taller than it actually is going to be when it's done. On that one, on the left side, when I was seeing with the foundation essentially is exposed right now.
Right.
The side where the garage is going to be put or is whatever form it's going to be. But it's basically, it looks taller than
The
right
end
now,
product.
You have, the garage, typically your garage, you're going to drive into the garage a little closer to, where that driveway sits in elevation. So you're not climbing a big steep hill. They'll have some elevation change up a little bit, but having a taller, half story above the garage with a roof line is going to be a more appealing overall design for the house. If you had just a standard 512 roof on the garage next to a big 2-story, it's going to look, like an afterthought. The garage won't look very nice.
So again, the goal is not to have a 2-story garage, it's to have an architecturally appropriate roof line.
Maximizing storage. Exactly.
So there won't be any sort of a loft area for storage above the garage door.
The roof line would allow for storage above the garage. There would be, that would allow for storage there. That space above there would certainly be usable for storage. And then the garage itself would be usable for parking, the cars. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, you wouldn't have any of that storage down in the basement. The idea is, the Christmas tree and everything is going to go above the cars up there.
Okay. And the additional 14 feet, that's what the owner of the house wants. That's something that they are specifically requesting, or is it something you offered to them?
She
Or
was
is it kinda
she
like
was
a-
devastated about not having a basement, for storage. She was
Mhm.
really disappointed about it. And I mean, but like I told her, I mean, we can only do what the engineering is required to do for the elevation for the floodplain. That's an engineered foundation. There's nothing I can do about it. It's a bit of a drag. I mean, everyone would prefer a more usable basement, but that's being next to the river essentially, right?
Yeah. So basically she thought it was gonna be a basement until you started building, or was it before the build that she realized that it was not possible?
That was a part of the normal discovery phase through the building
Discovery.
process. Yeah. I mean, we originally would have spec'd that out to have a basement. And, just through the engineering of the structure, that's what ended up happening. Yeah.
Okay.
Aaron, do you have questions?
Yeah, and you may not know some of these, which is okay, because they're fairly technical. Were there borings done to tell you, or to finding any groundwater levels, where the house footprint will be?
Yeah, the borings were done, but this isn't, the height isn't dictated based on groundwater. It's dictated based on the 100-year floodplain.
Okay.
Yeah. So there was no, we didn't encounter, groundwater that, pulled this basement out of grade. That was shot based on, the overall elevations dictated by FEMA.
And it looks like you can see in the grading plan, most trees on the property around the house are going to be taken out. Is there any particular extra drainage included in the site plan, or new plantings to replace what the trees did provide?
So the trees are really what make that a great area. One of the things that make it a great area are the trees and the animal life and all of these kinds of things that are there that come with a forest. And so, and in fact, the neighbors have, an incredible tree just in front of the house as well, which, we've been doing our best to work around also. But the trees had to come down in order to put the house in, and where the house sits around the footprint for us to move our machines and our equipment. Being a modular home, we have to make this turn into the property. But the house is really, and the property remains flanked pretty much at all sides by a lot of mature trees. In fact, I was there doing a little bit of work for a couple hours here before our meeting, and all of the wildlife and everything is in full effect right now, which is very nice. But in specific to your question about what kind of new plantings, we're super cognizant of a big house going right next to and right behind existing structures. I think if you're looking at the house to the right, there's no impact really to that house. The house to the house to the left, the house to the right, we're probably going to line that property line with some arborvitaes and some other kinds of shrubbery and that kind of thing, not to block them off, but just to kind of create that natural partition. And then of course the house in front, that's really where we want to be mindful of, because that's their backyard. You're going to be driving in, and that front of the house is behind their backyard. So similar, respectful of their backyard and the use of that area. Of course, you have the driveway down as well. And so there's a little bit of ground there to cover with new plantings. But I think if you put them in the right location in terms of sight lines and things of that nature, we should be able to, make sure that we're not a nuisance to the neighbors, and, we're not sort of taking over the whole area. That's certainly not the intention of the homeowner. She's really keen on making sure that the end result is complimentary to everybody. She wants to be a good neighbor and that kind of thing as well. So the one idea was a fence. And I'm kind of encouraging her to, let us maybe see how it ends up and see what we can do with just natural plantings. I think
Mhm.
that would be a nicer end result.
Mhm.
But the final landscape design hasn't been concluded yet.
How big is this?
Sorry, that was probably a really long-winded
No,
answer.
it's okay.
He's a landscape architect. He loves this stuff.
Oh, awesome. I should. That's great.
How big is the house?
So the house is,
50 by
sorry, I have to jump over to another.
1,500 square foot
It's
footprint.
about 2,400 square feet, I believe.
Plus the garage.
Let's see here. It's about 2,500 square feet. That would be the living space, first and second floor of the structure. So that wouldn't include the dimensions of the garage. Yeah. So you're, that 1,300, 12 to 1,300 square feet in the basement that you're losing. We're hoping to glean back, maybe I think we said 1085, which is a little bit more than maybe the allowed prescribed garage size.
The other thing for me, Christian, if this gets passed, maybe we should make a comment to the driveway width being limited to the flag.
Right, because actually, I did have one question regarding the section that actually goes with now the driveway width. Now, we're not approving a 33-foot wide driveway, obviously. It's just that the width for the driveway and the turnaround
It's 33 feet.
is 33 feet. Though the driveway, according to the town code, is not, we don't count the turnaround for the width of the driveway.
Well, that's what I was a little confused by that too. So there is a provision in there for I think we call it a flag or a turnaround, but
Yeah, it's just not because it's a town road and the provisions for the turnarounds are not on town roads, only county and state roads.
Right.
So therefore, the turnaround would be the overall width.
so
Okay,
I
yeah.
think we have to still say this. And then, in my opinion, although the board can speak to this, I think we should actually call it out as the only spot that's allowed is per drawing.
Agreed. I think so, yeah, just to specify at the end to say
I
that.
think we discussed that as well with Kevin, that it should be mentioned that it's just for the turnaround purposes and not
Not
a
the whole
runway all the
driveway.
way down to the
Right.
river
Yeah, that's
meadow.
not, no.
So I do think we should write it though. Otherwise, if we give a 33-foot driveway, they got it.
No, yeah, that's not, can't do that.
Yeah.
So I could just clarify for the board. So the driveway is 190 feet long with a curve due to the lot configuration. The driveway is 12 feet wide for the first 165 feet. And then it widens out to 19 to 20 feet at the overhead doors coming into the garage because it's a two-car garage. So, and then the T to turn around is 12 feet wide by 15 deep. And it's 5 feet off of the property line.
This is a question, I think, more for code. Are there with the understanding there could be significant sheet flow coming down the driveway from the property to the town road? Is there any requirements as far as stormwater requirements for a certain amount of sheet flow ending up in the road?
That'd be probably more of an engineering question that's part of their process when they did the site
Okay.
plans and approved it.
Right, when the site plan was approved for the new build,
Mhm.
drainage had to be approved by the town.
Okay.
So that drainage
It's already
technically is
addressed.
already approved.
Okay.
One question I have regarding the width of the driveways, so it's 19 feet at the garage. And I know it starts to taper down at the turnaround, but if it's 19 feet at the turnaround and then it's 15 feet to the turnaround itself, that's 34 feet.
Instead of 33 is what.
Yeah, so I mean, I just want to make sure that, is it because it starts to taper down? Is that why it's a foot less? Because I don't see.
So you're saying the math is wrong.
Well, no, I'm just, yeah, well, I mean, yeah, if it's still 19 feet, it doesn't look like it starts to taper. Actually, I don't think it actually tapers at all. It's 19 feet. Then there's the
Does it?
turnaround and then tapers back down to 12 after that. So is that, you had 33 feet for the width, is that? For the, well, yeah, if you count if it's 19 feet, the driveway is 19 feet wide at that point, and then the turnaround is another 15, that's 34. Then you have 5 feet between the end of the turnaround to the property line, which is the minimum allowed. I just want to make sure.
I think the idea is to have a natural, exit from the garage to reposition the car and then coming out forward towards the street. So, backing out can sometimes be a little bit dodgy, with, where you have your morning coffee, I think, right? So
I think the
coming out,
question-
turning around and then going straight on was the idea.
I think the question is more, is your math correct? Are you asking for 33 feet or are you asking for 34? Is that what you're asking?
Right, yeah, because it's something that if it's 19 feet, then another 15, then you're only going to be 4 feet from the lot line.
So I think it's up to
I
us.
think we'd want to keep 5 feet from the lot line.
Right, that's what it has to be
Yeah.
5 feet per, the code.
So if
So,
if that's off by a foot, we'd probably have a hard stop there on the lot
I
line
think
so
setback.
then it would only be 14 feet deep, basically.
So then we have that control on that. We can.
Yeah.
The
Or
variance,
he actually asked for that, so.
yeah, 33.
Yeah,
If the-
14 plus 19.
14 and 19 is 33.
Yeah.
But they wanted 15.
Well, the variance
hey,
is
Larry.
33.
Nice to see you.
Right.
Yeah,
That's why we're off by a foot.
we'll just see if they have any extra questions. But,
So as long as they
we'll
don't make it, if they can do a 14-foot deep turnaround, as long as they leave 5 feet from the end of the turnaround,
Where are you
Just a lot
getting
line.
15?
I don't see 15.
it was right here. It was the,
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I don't see it.
The-
Oh, 12 foot by 15 by 30. Right on the application,
yeah, the application says,
Oh, yeah, I'm
right
sorry.
here.
yeah, construct driveway turnaround 12 feet wide, 15 feet deep.
And 30 feet from the garage.
You can clarify that.
I think clarify that in the notes,
Okay.
along with matching the picture,
Really, how wide is that?
matching the drawing.
Yeah, let me,
So that's the only things I would add. But we still have to hear from residents too. I think.
exactly, yes.
Are there more?
The engineer.
I'm
could
sorry.
address the driveway.
You have to state your name and address.
It's Larry Heininger, Vice President of Engineering of Marcus and Associates.
Welcome.
And I apologize. It was my son's 38th birthday. I saw we were 11 and 12 on the agenda, and I expected I'd be here about 9:30, but
No,
anyway.
we're efficient
so
today.
yes, there are some other towns that I would recommend to come watch you and learn, but
Not always, this is not always the case. So I appreciate the flattery, but we
Okay,
are going
anyway.
fast.
The location of the T it wasn't just random. We have a crawl space that has to be a certain relationship to the FEMA floodplain. We have the finished floor that has to be at least 2 feet above the finished floodplain. We have ductwork in the crawl space that has to be 2 feet above. And then you have a garage. And so now I've established the elevation of the garage slab where the overhead door comes down. And I've got a 5% grade, which is about as steep a grade as you want on a driveway, especially with black ice in the winter. And then as you start grading down the driveway, I'm putting the T on that side as opposed to in the front lawn. So the T is over here, and then you're looking at the elevation of the ground right along the property line. So as we're going down grade and getting to a point where I can build that 15-foot deep T, that's as close as it can get to the garage door without increasing the pitch on the driveway.
Okay.
And to the 5%, in my former life, I designed the expansion of Eastview Mall. I learned this from Doug Eldred. If you are sideways on a 5% and you climb out the high side, it feels like a submarine hatch. If you get out the low side, you fall out the door. So 5% is the maximum pitch that you want to take that cookie tray and do this or do this or do that or do that. So that's why the T is located where it is.
Okay,
Well, the turnaround should be for turnarounds only, not for parking.
Understand that, and that's why I used to work with Chris Martin. I've known him a long time, but it was basically most towns for that kind of driveway would tell you, you must put a T in because we're not going to let you back out
Mhm.
165 feet. Chris said, because we have so much trouble with RIT students and creating a parking lot, you've got to come in and get a variance.
yes,
I don't know if Jeremy told you, the person building the house is an RIT professor. So I don't think it's going to become a parking lot, but that's why we need a T.
we had before.
I don't know. Not sure, but no, but that's fine. I just,
I mean,
basically, the question wasn't the location of it, it's the fact that the driveway, the width that you were requesting on a variance, you wanted a 15-foot deep turnaround.
right.
Now, at that point, the driveway is 19 feet wide, and 19
Right.
plus 15 is 34 feet.
Right.
So you were
Requesting 33.
you're requesting 33. So I don't know if it's somehow,
Well, I guess that's a matter of scale because, we come in and have this a nice curve and then come up and widen out, and you want to be about 6 inches wider than the overhead door. So at that point, whether it's 33 or whatever you're saying it is, I just know that we got to be 5 feet off the property line.
right.
And it's normally, I would make this thing 12 by 18, like you have 9 by 18 spaces outside. So normally it'd be 18, but I don't have 18 unless I move the house. And the minimum side setback is 8 feet. We're 10 feet on the other side. And we've got to bring drainage from the front yard around the side of the house. And this all kind of deals with the floodplain. So, you have a 48-foot house and then a 24-foot garage. And, we're kind of raising things up to meet the flood requirements. It's a very fussy site.
So I think the point is that we're going to limit this to 33 feet wide. And we're going to have limitations like that. So it'll be a 14 feet on a
Yeah.
19-foot wide
I
driveway.
mean,
so-
I drive a Mazda 3 and I think that's 15 feet, 5 inches long, bumper to bumper.
So it's over double that.
Pardon me?
So it'll be twice as long as that plus some.
Well, I'm just saying that but you can turn the thing around. I mean, the wheelbase of the car is maybe 13 feet.
Yep.
So I also have an old MG and that car is only 13 feet long. I think a Mazda Miata is 13 feet long, but you can turn the car around without driving off the end of the runway.
Sure. So with that said, I think we'll ask questions from the audience. Are you good with what you think?
I'm working on that last part, but yeah, if you
Are
want
there
to,
other questions from members of the board? Heather, you good? Okay, so I imagine there's questions from members of the audience. And if so, it's a perfect time to come up and ask a question or make comments. But we'll also still ask you to state your name and address.
Oh, my name's Janet Olson, and I
Welcome.
live at 241 River Meadow Drive. That's in Rochester 14623. And I'm just concerned with the size of the garage. There are 2 doors on this side of the building. One is on the top 2nd floor and one is on the bottom, the 1st floor. So the garage is going to be a 2-story?
We were told under testimony that it will not be 2-story, but there will be a roof line that will be appealing to the 2-story main
well,
home.
Then why is there a 2nd door? on the
That is a
2nd
question I
floor?
can't answer, but we will re-ask that once the applicants have come up.
And this is,
when you're done.
okay, and this is supposed to be a 1-family home?
My understanding is yes, and again, valid question that we will make sure to ask them once your questions are complete, we'll re-ask it.
Okay, and the garage, is it a 6-car garage? Or, I mean, how big is it?
44 feet is probably
You
2
mentioned
cars.
that it was a 2-car garage.
Just a 2-car?
Mhm.
Okay.
2-car with storage, supposedly what they're going to have storage
On-
behind
And on
instead of having in the
2nd floor.
basement.
It seems like the answer is there's capability for storage above the garage.
as well.
Okay. Do you have any questions?
Not really.
Okay, I guess that's.
So thank you for your questions. I will ask the other applicants to come back up, assuming that,
And all I am going to say is I don't like the idea at all. So I would vote no if possible. So,
and
Can I show you the rendering of the garage as it currently stands?
okay, so what,
So that would be,
But-
that would have space above where you could come out from the door that you see on the second floor and use the space above the.
so the
garage
door,
as
there is a door that
This is
goes,
the
So this is a
currently-
setback, is what you're saying.
Well,
Yeah, this is
and
the
we should
garage.
actually
The
see
garage
this,
is
right?
currently-
Do you have a plan view of that?
This is the plan view, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's an
If we could
elevation.
see it at least, because it was like, we don't idea what it's going to look like when it's done.
So we're talking about going a little further back.
and then
So where's the second story door?
I'll show you on my phone. And then my next question is, that house really doesn't fit this neighborhood at all.
Yeah, but where's
And
the
I'm kind of
second
concerned as to
story
why
door?
nobody was approached for
Okay,
it.
so the door is.
Hold
to
on one
go
second,
into
guys.
the garage.
Excuse me.
Can you
I
guys,
got you.
Can we hold for just a second? We need to see this too, but I'll ask you to hold on just a second. So the question is that there was some process done that follows the rules of planning for this location. It met all of the standards that were required, both engineering, capacity, size, space, but there are two things that haven't met that standard, which is why they're here. One of them is the additional depth of that garage.
right,
And the second part is this flag, I call it a flag, but a turnaround in the driveway.
okay,
So for the safety component of this, I, as one vote of 7, sees that flag or turnaround as a very good idea for the safety component. The size of the house, whether it fits what was built in the past versus, current new, it does fall within the rules that are in place for this area. So the zone rules there, it does fall in place. I can say that there are definitely times when it doesn't visually necessarily match or other things that nature, and that's a call, that the homeowner makes, and if it falls within the rules, we don't have a lot of choice on that. With regards to the extra garage space, we have to decide if that need of the applicant to have extra storage and whatever else they're going to use it for is a reasonable request.
okay.
And we take your comments seriously, but we weigh it out against many things, and then we make a decision on that.
Okay. Did you want to see the picture of the door on the second floor?
No, he explained it to me.
I think
Never mind.
the other gentleman's going to show us this. If you would like to show us that, you're welcome to walk it up front here and show us that. I will.
understand. Okay.
I would like to see this one, and if she wants to show that, I'm happy to
No,
let
I
you.
don't need you.
And there is a window on the garage. This is a
So
garage.
The window that they're referring to is, it's against the, or the door is against the house there. So you'd be able to walk out into that second floor or within
Right.
house over the garage.
So is that full height inside of there?
Well, not really. I mean, you've got this big roof line, so full height might be towards the back. And then if we extend the garage further back, then it would give more storage. That's the variance request.
Is this the drawing with the 44-foot?
No, this is the currently approved drawing.
How much would it change?
It would just go back further.
Visually from the road, it doesn't change at all, basically. Please walk it down so they can have a chance to see it. Sorry, Heather, we don't know how to show you.
Oh, can he put it up to like the camera, one of them?
Or is it? Do you see the one looking at us? Yeah. We'll have you put it up in front of that one.
All right, thank you.
It'll be just a minute, Heather.
Part of the driveway.
That's fine.
Sit down.
If you would like to show us the picture that you have in reference, I would be happy to see it.
Not bad, it's pretty close. So.
I think it's fair to see both.
White space on the garage, the turnaround.
The floor where he was saying that it's closer to normal.
Plus, she's gonna.
So is that door that's on the other side, what they're asking, into the garage? Is that coming out of the bedroom?
This is not
Oh,
shown.
it's a hallway.
Correct.
The way my house is set up, I'm thinking, geez, you'd have to
We
come
should
out of the
actually
bedroom.
get
We're gonna
the
let her-
No wider than 33 feet.
Could I get a digital copy of this? I'd like to make sure that goes to Heather Voss, who you've probably talked to on the phone, I assume. I would like a digital copy of that so that we have it on the record since we're all touching this.
And the driveway.
So with the extension, line it up with.
So the rear,
Just go straight back.
12 feet from the.
Right, so would it start to line up more with the porch?
Right after.
The back of it.
How deep is the
Oh, this way.
drawing?
Okay, that's the problem. Got it.
How deep is this drawing that we're seeing? How deep is the garage in this drawing?
This would go backwards. This is street side and
We're
just pushing the garage back.
It shall be
Okay.
no wider than 30.
And
Comma, and then.
Christian, you want to take a peek at this? Anybody?
I kind of saw it from there. So basically it's kind of.
It's 8 feet, give or take.
There's a,
Yeah.
And then here's the back of the garage, so this will come back. So
If you give us a piece of paper, I have to keep it. If you give me a piece of paper, I have to keep it.
well, this is the window to the garage.
Is that the window?
I have to keep it, right?
Right.
I do have to keep it if you.
No.
Yeah.
Wait, is this what she's calling a door?
Oh, that's one we have.
Okay.
the inner hallway, so you can access the top of the garage.
Okay. So that goes into the garage. Yeah.
Second story.
Can I ask?
Okay.
I mean, even if it does become livable space.
Yes.
It doesn't violate anything.
And which property is yours, ma'am? Yeah, that's what I expect based on the drawings.
Now you have to keep her phone.
No. I do understand. And so the drawing that he showed
Window
us
is gonna be that door.
indicates that that's possible, and that's what we were asking about. So there will be a few more questions here.
Heather Robinson, I just sent that to you in email.
I see.
Thank you
won't
for
see that
sharing that.
door. It'll be enclosed.
Thank you so much. I'll check it now.
All right.
If it's the same thing I have, then that's okay. Yes.
No, totally makes sense.
Yes, it does.
Is there anything, do you have any design for like the inside, like, okay, the
Yes.
floor where the cars are gonna be parked? Then there's gonna be, is there a wall partitioning then storage, or is it gonna be all open in there? So,
Okay. Thank you.
sure, absolutely. That's
Okay.
fine.
Thank you very much.
Yes, I'm just trying to.
Okay, so please.
Okay.
Thanks for the explanation. Are there any other questions?
Say it again.
That's what
I'm gonna ask, and we have a few more.
Sure. Six windows.
So there's the upstairs, that's the door.
Yeah, gotcha. The hallway door. Right, see, it's out in
I know,
space,
you
you
don't,
know.
because you see the house and you don't see.
Well,
the
you see a
garage at
door out
first, right?
into second floor, you fall to
Yeah,
the ground.
okay.
That's right.
So let's. We already did the garage.
We're finished with questions. so.
Yeah, you came in after it.
Well, just hang out just for a minute.
I understand.
Hang out.
So I think we pretty much understand that. There were 2 or 3 more questions, but I'd like to keep a little bit more order because we're sort of falling apart here. What is your question?
I don't have a question. I'm just saying we're finished on our part.
Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate your feedback. It's important for us to understand it.
All
from
right.
both
Thank
of
you
so
for
thank
your
you.
understanding.
Thank you.
And thanks for your help.
And thank
Nice
you for your
meeting you.
hospitality.
Yes.
What are the-
Sorry to
There was
be a bit of a
few more
disruption,
questions that-
you know.
Oh,
lately.
I had 2 or 3 questions. So when we asked initially, a question to you was, will that be a second story? And the answer was no. But the follow-up to that was, after looking at the drawing, was it is a second story, even though it's not a full second story. It is a second story with usable space and windows and a door.
I think I don't want to be misleading. That wasn't my intention. I think how I described it was, or I hope I should have described it, was a story and a half. So it's a half second story.
How tall will that room be inside?
So the distinction between a half second story and a full second story is typically that you've got roof line sort of impacting the overall footprint of that floor space. If it was a full second story, you would have that exterior wall above the first floor going straight up to in line with that second floor of the house, and then you proceed with your roof line. as opposed to sort of a Cape Cod design, architectural design, where you have a first floor and above which you have a roof line with dormers. So that's called sort of a story and a half. And so that's the same kind of design of the
Okay.
garage that we have here is a story and a half second story is the
Is
idea.
that half story, is it going to be finished?
We're not finishing it, no.
Is the intent that you're aware of for that to be finished? Will it be fully electrical and everything else in there?
The intent is to use it for storage, and so it would be unfinished like a
Insulated?
basement. Yeah, it would be unfinished like a basement. So it would be insulated and it would be, it would be usable for storage, just like a basement is going to be conditioned space with exterior insulation,
Basically an attic.
like an attic. Yeah, exactly.
There's no attic in the main house. There's no attic in the main house, so when they did this garage, they said, we put an attic over the garage.
Yeah.
Well, why not? I mean, there are a lot of bedrooms over garages, attics over garages, because she has a crawl space. There's no basement. There's no
Got it.
storage.
Right. The gentleman also
I'm
asked.
Chris. Hi.
Chris, hey, sorry.
No, the question I basically had was, I mean, because the reason for the garage extension is for storage.
Yeah.
Is the garage going to be partitioned so that there's a separate room in the back for the storage? Or is it going to be all open for the,
Open space above, but
well, not above, I'm talking like when you drive in, like is it going to be all the way to the back wall? Or will there be like another room behind where the cars are be parked?
Yeah, so it is a little deeper. The garage is a little deeper because we don't have the space in the basement to put the mechanicals. We have a mechanical room in the first floor of the garage. So that's going to eat up a chunk of space, on the first floor is, the furnace, the water tank, the electrical panel's got to go there. There's
Okay, so
the basements, I can't even put an electrical panel down there. And
okay,
so-
that makes sense. Yeah, because you have to
Yeah.
have, you're putting it there instead of,
So I got the mechanical room there at the back of the garage on the first floor. So then the second floor is, is there just as an open space.
so even the 14 by, how wide is it again? The,
20, we're about 25 by about 25 by
So the-
about 40.
of the 25 by 14 that you're requesting, whatever square footage that is, part of that's going to be the furnace, the water heater, electrical panel. It's all going to be in that, or is that, or is that?
No, I've designed it to go in its current size. The current size of the garage I'll have to put the mechanicals in there, but it's just impacting the overall size that she has to store other stuff.
Right, okay.
Yeah. So I mean, I could do it as is, but it'd be nicer for her to make it bigger.
So the mechanical room that you'll be putting in there for all the
Mechanics,
stuff,
yeah.
will that be heated?
It'll be conditioned space.
Okay.
Yeah. So it'll be insulated and everything. Yeah.
Would the floodplain prevent a detached storage shed or something of that nature in the future? Or a grade, because I can see it's pretty steep.
I don't think it would.
Okay.
I think, if you want to put a she shed out in the backyard or, whatever, that's up to your, it's not you say it's not falling under the building code. I just want to talk, I gave my talking points to Jeremy earlier today. And I don't know whether but when I originally came in with this garage and they said, well, we allow the 35 by 30, but that only works if you have a side load and we don't have a side load. And so we were 30 feet deep because that was the max. And then I did the calculation and said, okay, well, that's 1,050 square feet. And then I said, well, if originally it was 24, then the architect changed the plan and made it 24.8. Okay, so it was 24. And I did the math and said, okay, well, if we went back 24 by 44, we're only about 6 or 8 feet above this other number. And why I picked the 44 is because in college I framed houses and 44 is on coursing for block and it's on coursing for framing, 16 on center and 4x8 plywood sheet. So it's like, why give the guy 42.56? Just go with the 44. And also when we were trying to figure out the storage in the basement and what we could do, I was actually thinking, could we go out the kitchen door, down to the garage, and then you have a hallway.
You got to stand in front of the microphone, please.
okay,
Sorry.
hallway that was back to a conditioned space in the back. And I happened to be talking to your fire marshal and he kind of said, no, that would create all kinds of issues. So I was like, all right. Just gonna have a deep garage, and as Jeremy's saying, we've got to put the furnace, the hot water heater, the electrical panel, they all have to be in the garage. So
Approximately how much square footage would all the furnace,
The mechanical.
mechanicals, yes, exactly. About how much square footage approximately would that take up of the space?
Yeah, our mechanical rooms in the basement are typically, 12 by 12, just like a normal bedroom.
Okay.
So not small, but I mean, it's not a 20-foot room.
So like
It's
12 by
enough to get in
12?
there and move around.
So about 12 by 12 is going to be kind of, so part of the garage, the 12 by 12 will be the mechanical part of the room. Okay.
Okay. Any other questions from board members? Any other questions from members of the audience? Okay. With that, we'll.
Sorry, did you want me to send that to Heather then?
Heather Voss, yeah.
Yep.
With that, we can close the applications.
Okay, I'm ready.
Go ahead.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, with regard to applications number ZBA 2022-045 and 046 for an area variance, I move to approve as follows. Whereas the zoning board has one, duly advertised and held a public hearing, two, has considered all relevant information, and three, has considered the potential benefit to the applicant versus the potential detriment to the neighborhood or community in relation to such variances. Now therefore it be resolved that the zoning board of appeals makes the following findings of fact. The variances will not result in an undesirable change to the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties. The 14-foot garage extension is 150 feet from the neighboring house and 160 feet from the rear lot line. The variances cannot be achieved by some other feasible alternative. The garage cannot be wider than proposed due to the existing grade elevation of the property. The variances requested are not substantial. The proposed garage is approximately 35 square feet larger than what would be allowable for a standard 35 by 30 garage. The turnaround complies with all other conditions of section 240-3 and L of the town code. The variance will not have a negative effect on physical or environmental conditions. And the difficulty relating to the variance was self-created as the applicant requests a deeper garage for storage due to a lack of a basement. The turnaround is desired due to the curve of the driveway and the configuration of the lot. And be it further resolved that based upon the above findings, the zoning board of appeals hereby approves the variance as presented, and be it further resolved that the approval shall be subject to the following conditions: that the width of the driveway be 19 feet from the garage to the turnaround, which shall be no wider than 33 feet, and the driveway shall be 12 feet from the turnaround to the road.
I'll second.
Seconded by Heather. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motions carry. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Have a
good
nice
night.
day. And I will ask one more time, application 2022-042 for 50 Strawberry Hill Road. I have to ask, have a good day. What are you guys here for? Oh, interesting. So there is a very clear process that's in place. Actually, give me 2 seconds. I will close the meeting and I'll talk to you about this because that is not the process exactly. So we'll talk through that in a moment. So with that, I would like to, oh, by the way, Heather Voss, that applicant is not online, correct?
Still no sign of them, unfortunately. I'll follow up first thing in the morning.
Okay, so we will, postpone that till the next meeting, I guess. And with that, I would like to close the meeting. It is 8:20. Oh, wait, hang on. Thank you.
Use it. It's better.
I gotta use it more. Okay, so there is a process in place. You will go in to get a
Hi, Heather.
permit.
Good night, guys.
Good night, guys.
All right.
I'm gonna make sure with this.